The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald takes place during the summer of 1922, primarily in the fictional towns of East Egg and West Egg on Long Island, New York. The story is narrated by Nick Carraway, a young man from Minnesota who moves to New York to work in banking. He rents a small house in West Egg, next to the lavish mansion of J. Gatsby, an enigmatic and wealthy man known for throwing opulent parties every weekend. Nick soon becomes intrigued by Gatsby's mysterious persona. Gatsby is a self-made millionaire with a reputation for being charming, elusive, and somewhat tragic. His wealth and extravagant lifestyle are all intended to win back Daisy Buchanan, Nick's cousin, who lives in the more fashionable East Egg with her husband, Tom Buchanan. Daisy and Gatsby had been in love before. Gatsby went off to fight in World War I. However, during the war, Daisy married Tom, a rich, arrogant man from an established family. Nick's story becomes entangled with Gatsby's when he learns that Gatsby is deeply in love with Daisy and has been for years. Gatsby's dream is to rekindle their relationship, to recreate the past they had before the war. Gatsby believes that with enough money, he can win Daisy back, even though she is married and has a child. He even buys his mansion in West Egg to be near her, hoping that she will see his wealth and return to him. Nick arranges a meeting between Gatsby and Daisy, and although the initial reunion is awkward, they eventually rekindle their old passion. However, Daisy is conflicted. She is still in love with Gatsby, but her life with Tom is stable, and she has a child to consider. Tom, meanwhile, is having an affair with Myrtle Wilson, a woman from a lower social class. Tom is aware of Gatsby and Daisy's renewed affection, and begins to feel threatened. As tensions build, Nick gets a clearer view of the characters around him. Tom is revealed to be hypocritical and cruel, using his wealth and status to dominate those around him. Daisy, while kind-hearted and beautiful, is ultimately shallow, and chooses the comfort and security of her marriage over the idealized love Gatsby offers. Gatsby, for all his wealth and ambition, cannot grasp the reality that Daisy will not leave Tom for him. The novel reaches its tragic climax when Tom confronts Gatsby in a hotel suite in New York. Tom exposes Gatsby's background, his humble beginnings, his illegal ways of earning money, and asserts that Gatsby will never be able to take Daisy from him. Daisy, overwhelmed by the conflict between the two men, cannot choose Gatsby over Tom. She returns to Tom, and Gatsby is left heartbroken, believing that their love is still possible. The tragedy deepens when, in a series of misunderstandings, Daisy's car driven by Gatsby accidentally kills Myrtle Wilson. George Wilson, Myrtle's husband, believes that Gatsby was both the driver and the owner of the car, and in his grief and anger, he murders Gatsby in his mansion before taking his own life. In the aftermath, Nick tries to arrange Gatsby's funeral, but virtually no one shows up. Gatsby's wealth and parties had attracted crowds, but they were never real friends. Only a few people, including Nick, come to mourn him. Daisy and Tom have quietly left town, escaping any consequences for their actions. Disillusioned by the emptiness of the world he has witnessed, Nick reflects on the grand dream that motivated Gatsby, the hope of achieving something perfect, something pure, through wealth and success. Nick realizes that Gatsby's dream was never realistic. It was a fantasy based on illusions and impossible ideals. In the final pages, Nick returns to Minnesota, feeling detached from the superficial world of East Egg and West Egg, where people use others for their own gain, leaving nothing behind but broken dreams. In conclusion, the themes and conclusions this novel depicts are as follows. The American Dream. Gatsby represents the idea of the American dream, the belief that anyone can succeed through hard work and determination. However, the novel critiques this dream, showing how it can lead to corruption, materialism, and disillusionment. Gatsby's dream is based on illusion rather than reality, and his downfall illustrates the fragility and emptiness of this dream. The novel explores the differences between the old moneyed class of East Egg, represented by Tom and Daisy, and the nouveau riche of West Egg, represented by Gatsby. It also highlights the harsh class divide, with characters like Myrtle and George Wilson stuck in the lower class, unable to escape their circumstances. The corruption of love. Gatsby's obsession with Daisy represents an idealized, unrealistic view of love. He believes that by recreating the past, he can erase the time and circumstances that have separated them. Daisy, on the other hand, represents the shallowness of love when it is linked to wealth and status, and she ultimately chooses security over true love. The billboard with the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg is often seen as a symbol of moral and spiritual decay in the novel. The eyes seem to watch over the characters, representing the idea of a higher power or a conscience that judges the characters' actions. But they are largely ignored by the people around them. The novel ends with Nick's meditation on the American dream and the emptiness of Gatsby's pursuit. He reflects on the green light at the end of Daisy's dock, which symbolizes Gatsby's unattainable dreams. In the end, Nick acknowledges that Gatsby's ambition to reinvent himself and achieve his ideal version of the American dream was noble in a way, but ultimately tragic because it was built on a false foundation.